Now, I'm not talking about being mean to pensioners and taking away their money, because I know we don't want to do that, but there are some people that get the pension or get the triple lock applied to it who do not need it. So shouldn't we look at that and perhaps using that money to help build more houses or help young people to become homeowners?
So that's exactly the sort of thing that the policy work we're going to be doing will look at. I have always said that we don't do means testing.
We're actually going to look at the triple lock.
I know we're going to look at means testing. Means testing is something which we don't do properly here. I'm someone who always said, for example, that millionaires should not be getting the winter fuel payment. But what Rachel Reeves has done is the extreme version of that, where people who are actually on the breadline have had their winter fuel payment taken away. We don't have a system that knows who should get what. That's the sort of thing that we need to be looking at. Now, the triple lock is a policy which we supported throughout our 14 years in government. That was a Conservative policy, but we need to make sure that we are growing.
Nigel Farage's Reform UC has launched a scathing attack on the Conservative Party following Kemi Badenoch's announcement that the Tories are going to look at means testing the state pension triple lock. Branding the Conservatives as the same old Tories, Reform UK vowed to defend pensioners and accused the government of betraying its commitments to the elderly. The triple lock policy, which ensures state pensions rise annually by the highest of inflation, average earnings, or a minimum of 2.5s, has been a cornerstone of pensioner support. However, Badenoch's remarks during an LBC phone-in with Ian Dale signal a potential shift, raising concerns among pensioners and prompting backlash from opposition parties. Reform UK seized the opportunity to position itself as the true champion of pensioners. A spokesperson for the party told Egg News, Labour has cut the winter fuel allowance, and now the Tories want to cut the state pension. Only Reform UK can be trusted to stand up for our pensioners. We will always ensure that pensioners can live with dignity and proper support. Unlike the Tories, this is not the first time the Conservatives have faced criticism over their approach to pensioner support. Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride recently described the triple lock as unsustainable, while Badenoch argued for a broader review of means testing, suggesting that millionaires should not receive universal benefits like the winter fuel payment. Badenoch said, "Means testing is something we don't do properly in this country. I've always said that millionaires shouldn't be getting the winter fuel payment. We need a system that ensures the right people get the right support." Farage's Reform UK has consistently aligned itself with pensioners on this issue. In September, the party's 5 MPs voted against Labour-led cuts to the winter fuel allowance, a move Farage condemned as a terrible mistake. The cuts, estimated to save £7.5 billion annually, have left many elderly Britons worried about how they will afford heating this winter. Criticism has also been directed at Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who justified the cuts in November by stating, "When you inherit a broken economy, very difficult decisions have to be made. Very difficult decisions have to be made." Reform UK, however, remains unyielding in its stance. Farage's party has framed itself as the only political force willing to protect pensioners' rights in the face of what they describe as Tory betrayal and Labour neglect. With a general election looming, the debate over the triple lock and broader pension policies is set to become a battleground issue. Reform UK's positioning as the pensioner-friendly alternative could test its appeal against the dominance of the two major parties.
And they can say what they want about the public sector. The public sector's the problem. It's far too big. It's far too inefficient. It doesn't work. And they believe they're pinning their hopes on the public sector. Public sector it's a great big elephant on everybody's back. You've got an increasingly small private sector working its backside off to fund a bloated state. And when they get that through their heads, when sterling collapses, I mean, can you believe Labour are now saying they're going to cut the size of the public sector? Do you believe them with that? I don't.
Rupert Lowe's recent remarks on GB News have added fuel to an age-old debate over the size and role of the public sector. His call for a drastic reduction in public sector size, a clampdown on bureaucracy, and a focus on empowering frontline workers at the expense of administrators reflects a familiar ideological push for smaller government and leaner operation. At the heart of Lowe's critique is his assertion that Britain is suffocating under layers of bureaucratic inefficiency, a sentiment likely to resonate with fiscal conservatives and libertarians. By drawing a sharp distinction between doers and talkers, he paints a picture of a public sector bogged down by non-essential roles, hampering productivity and stifling economic growth. This narrative isn't new. For decades, advocates of smaller government have argued that streamlining the public sector is key to reducing waste and boosting efficiency. Yet, critics of Lowe's stance will be quick to point out that such rhetoric risks oversimplifying the complexities of public administration. While it's easy to demonize bureaucracy, many of these roles are integral to the delivery of essential services, from healthcare to education to welfare. Lowe's insistence on showing respect to the private sector further underscores the ideological divide between those who see government as an enabler and those who see it as a hindrance. Positioning private enterprise as the backbone of public service funding is a popular trope among free market advocates, but it carries risks. Such comments, while appealing to entrepreneurs and fiscal hawks, may alienate public sector workers who already feel undervalued after years of austerity and mounting workloads. Strategically, Lowe's remarks come at a delicate time. Public services are still grappling with the aftershocks of the pandemic, ongoing strikes, and an infrastructure straining to meet growing demand. Calls for sweeping cuts, even if framed as efficiency measures, could face pushback from a public increasingly aware of the need for robust social systems. Politically, Lowe's rhetoric is likely to find support among small state advocates and those disillusioned with what they see as bloated government inefficiency. However, the broader electorate may view such proposals with skepticism, especially if they threaten to erode frontline services further. The risk for Lowe and like-minded reformers is that their calls for reform could be seen as tone deaf to the real-world challenges faced by citizens reliant on these services. Ultimately, Lowe's intervention encapsulates the long-running ideological clash over government size and scope. While his critique may energize certain segments of the political spectrum, the practicality and impact of his proposed reforms will be where the real debate lies. Is it possible to cut back without cutting deep? That question, as ever, remains the crux of the matter. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this analysis, give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell so you don't miss future updates. For more discussions and insights, join our Telegram community. The link is in the description. See you next time.